And welcome to Technology Tap. I'm Professor JRod. In this episode, the history of modern computing, the story of AOL. Let's tap in. There was a time before broadband, before Google, before Facebook, when the internet wasn't a utility, it was an adventure. Let's take you back.
Welcome. You've got mail.
A chirp through a telephone line. A portal into a digital universe built from blue hyperlinks, pixelated icons, and the unmistakable voice that told you got mail. Welcome to Technology Tap, and today we're beginning our journey for online culture, the rise, the reign, and the fall of America Online, better known as AOL. This is a story of innovation, chaos, billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of users, and a cultural revolution built on dial-up tones, chat rooms, instant message, and a corporate bombing campaign of shiny CDs. Today, AOL feels like a relic, but in its prime, it was the internet. Let's rewind. Before AOL existed, computers were islands. There was no World Wide Web, no Google, no Wi-Fi, no apps, no social media. Early online services were expensive, complicated, technical, mostly for hobbyists. Think bulletin board systems, think command lines, think AT/DT modem commands typed manually. If you wasn't a tech enthusiast, you couldn't get online. AOL was founded to change that, to make the online world social, simple, and fun. AOL doesn't start as AOL. It started as Quantum Computer Services, founded by Steve Case, Jim Kimsley, and Mark Seraph. Quantum first product, not AOL, not chat rooms, not instant messages. It was for the Commodore 64. The service was called Quantum Link, or Q-Link for short. A graphical online environment way ahead of its time. Q-Link had avatars, chat rooms, message boards, instant message, early downloadable content, a primitive virtual world. Sound familiar? It should. Q-Link was the proto-metaverse in 1985. AOL's DNA was already there. What Quantum Computer Services realized was this. People don't want to connect to computers. People want to connect to other people. A bold new identity. In 1989, the World Wide Web didn't exist. Tim Berners-Lee hadn't published his first website. Modems were slow. Home computing was emerging. Quantum decided it needed a new name. Something big, something national, something mainstream. American Online. The vision? To bring online access to every home in America. The key challenges? Make it easy, make it fun, make it friendly, make it universal. Make it simple enough for grandma. Steve Case once said, the internet should be for everyone, not just the tech elite. And thus began the greatest onboarding operation in digital history. AOL succeeded where others failed because it did two things. One is simplify every part of online access. And two, it wrapped the internet in a warm, friendly interface. AOL introduced a graphical interface, big buttons, easy menu, auto dialing modems, parental controls, help features, directories, keywords, the first major homepage concept, no typing modem strings, no arcade commands, just point, click, and explore. It felt like magic. Before URLs were common, AOL invented keywords, news, sports, movies, weather, email, chat. And big brands bought them too. Ford, Nike, C&M, Batman Forever. AOL keyword real estate was the SEO of the 1990s. It was simple. You typed in the keyword Pizza Hut, it takes you to a Pizza Hut AOL page. AOL keyword systems trained millions of Americans to navigate information without ever touching a web browser. This was revolutionary. For AOL to dominate, it needed one thing: users, millions of them. And how you get them? You send out CDs everywhere. Magazines, newspapers, pizza boxes, cereal boxes, airplane seats, college campus, Best Buy aisles, gas stations. AOL mailed over 1 billion CDs. People joke that AOL CDs were becoming the illogical layer of Earth's crust. Each CD offered 10 free hours, then 25, then 50, then 500, then unlimited trial periods. AOL became impossible to escape, and it worked. By the mid-90s, AOL wasn't just an online service. AOL was the internet. And it was weird because you can open up any magazine and find an AOL CD. So I would go to a client's house, and there was something wrong with AOL, or they wanted me to install AOL on their machine. I would just say, hey, you have a magazine? And then flip through the magazine and take out the AOL CD, which was in there. It was this, they were everywhere. AOL's greatest invention wasn't its software, it was its community. AOL chat rooms, the birthplace of online conversations. People formed friendships, relationships, rivalries, and entire subcultures. Chat rooms shaped romance, fandoms, hobbies, politics, parenting circles, local community groups. This was early social media, before MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Instant message, AIM. AOL Instant Message didn't just dethrone the chat room. It became the essential tool for a generation. It gave us away messages, buddy lists, screen names, be right back culture, status updates, early emojis, the original online presence indicator. People held secret relationships on AIM. Kids used AIM to bypass parental supervision. Teens lived and breathed away messages coded with emotional status updates. AIM was a digital adolescence for millions. Possibly the most famous voice line in computing history, AOL Mail made email friendly, accessible, fun, mainstream. The phrase, "you got mail," became a cultural phenomenon so big that it inspired a Hollywood movie. Email became part of the daily life because AOL made it simple. The AOL economy, a marketplace before eBay and Amazon grew up. AOL hosted shopping portals, auctions, classifieds, online games, stock tickers, newsrooms, weather centers, live event chats, yes, before Livestream. It was a fully functional online digital society. AOL wasn't early internet. It was the internet culture.
Let's take a quick break.
Craving dinner, dialogue, and sassy debate? Then you want the podcast, Plate and Ponder. Empty Nesting with Jen and Chris Fenton, where a battle-tested married couple with kids recently off to college discuss explosive headlines in geopolitics, along with fascinating oddities. She's the charter school director and elected official, and he's the Mr. Hollywood movie producer, professor, and author. This wine-fueled kitchen table truth has heart, hilarity, and hard hits. It's Plate and Ponder, Empty Nesting, wherever you find your podcasts.
So we explored AOL's origin, the bold rebranding, the billion CDs strategy, and the birth of digital community. Now we enter the decade where AOL doesn't just grow, it dominates. The 1990s belonged to AOL, a time where 35 million households dialed in every night, when You Got Mail became a national anthem, when instant messaging rewired how we communicate, when AOL stock soared to unimaginable heights, and when the seeds of collapse were quietly planted beneath the surface. Welcome to AOL's golden age. By 1994, AOL had figured out something other services hadn't. Make the internet fun, make it friendly, make it for everyone. And overnight, the company exploded. Growth numbers surged. 1 million users in 1993, 4 million by 1995, 8 million in 1996, 16 million in 1998, and over 26 million subscribers by 2000. This wasn't just growth, it was cultural takeover. Families bought computers because of AOL. Schools taught AOL in computer labs. Newspapers published AOL keywords next to their websites. Politicians campaigned on AOL. Musicians launched singles through AOL Music. AOL moved from a startup to a national communication service. It wasn't just online access, it was an identity. Here's what logging into AOL felt like in the 90s. You launch the blue triangle logo, the modem screamed its electronic song, you waited, and then you heard, "Welcome, you got mail." Suddenly you had chat rooms, news, weather, email, games, shopping, message boards, buddy lists, parental controls, instant messaging, online radio, downloadable software. AOL didn't give you one thing, it gave you a universe. Let's break down the pieces that define the universe. Chat rooms, the first social media platforms. AOL chat rooms were the beating heart of the 90s online culture. They shaped friendships, relationships, debates, fandoms, local meetups, early role-playing community, and the birth of the internet slang. You had teen chat, 40-plus singles chat, music lounge, sports talk, parental supporting, tech help, local town chats, and thousands of user-created rooms with creative names we probably shouldn't repeat on a PG-13 podcast. Chat rooms taught millions of Americans how to socialize online. They also introduced trolling, moderation, doxing, identity swiping, and early catfishing. Human behavior went online, unfiltered for the first time, and AOL had to build a system to manage it. AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, changes communication forever. Launched in 1997, AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, was a revolution. It introduced TikTok's concept of presence. It created modern texting culture. It gave us the first social media statuses. Be right back, away doing homework, away don't ask, away if you know, you know. Broken heart. AIM pioneered real-time messaging, buddy lists, online offline indicators, custom away message, profile bios, first emojis, typing indicators, chatbots, file sharing, direct messaging as a norm. Teams lived on AIM. College students depended on AIM. Office workers secretly used AIM all day long. AIM became its own culture, the emotional soundtrack of the late 90s. AOL understood something special. Not all internet users are the same. So they built tailored experience. AOL Kids, safe browsing, games, homework utilities, parental controls, child-friendly interfaces. AOL Hometown, a build-your-own website service. Millions of people created their first ever personal web pages with glitter text, neon GIFs, animated counters, background music, guestbook. Hometown was early MySpace. AOA Games hosted the first major multiplayer communities, trivia rooms, card games, early MMOs, online Scrabble tournaments. AOL Music broadcast interviews, premieres, and exclusive artist content long before YouTube. AOL wasn't just an ISP, it was the media platform decades ahead of its time. AOL News, Sports, Finance, the digital newspaper. If you joined AOL in the 90s, you didn't click CNN.com or Fox News. You clicked AOL News. AOL had a dedicated editorial team producing headlines, live coverage, political commentary, sports scores, stock tickers, entertainment news, and weather alerts. AOL operated like a digital media empire. In the world before broadband, they controlled the daily flows of information for millions. The technical side, how AOL scaled dial-up. Behind the scenes, AOL had some challenges no company has ever faced. Millions of simultaneous dial-up calls. They rented thousands of phone lines across the country. Modern banks, facilities filled with racks with 28 and 56K modems. Overload access numbers. This led to AOL's biggest late 90s scandals. Busy signals. AOL's unlimited plan was a massive success. Too massive. Customer dial in only to get busy. AOL faced lawsuits, angry customers, and an infrastructure crisis that would haunt them for years. Scaling dial-up was one of the hardest engineered feats of the decade, and AOL barely kept up. The AOL economy, advertising before Google Ads. AOL invented early online advertising. Brands paid for sponsored chat rooms, keyword listings, banner ads, feature homepage placement, promotions, newsletter. AOL monetized attention long before Facebook or Google existed. AOL was printing money. The peak, AOL's absolute height, 1999-2000. By the year 2000, AOL was valued at over $2 billion. It was the largest online service in the world. It had more subscribers than any competitors combined. Its stock skyrocketed through the dot-com bubble. It became a cultural icon. AOL wasn't a tech company anymore. AOL was the internet for a generation. Millions learned how to chat, how to email, how to browse, how to download, how to search, how to socialize because of AOL. The company stood at the mountaintop, and then, in one of the biggest dramatic turns in tech history, they made a decision that would eventually destroy them. AOL rise was very fast. Its influence was enormous. Its cultural footprint unforgettable. But every empire meets its moment of reckoning. We'll explore the unraveling of AOL, the forces that brought it down, the merger that shocked the business world, and the unexpected legacy AOL left behind. The broadband storm. By 2000, a new technology was quietly expanding. Broadband, always on, always fast, always connected. Cable, internet, and DSL didn't need dial-up. No busy signals, no modems, no waiting. And this single shift shattered AOL's business model. AOL was built on metered dial-up fees, unlimited dial-up subscriptions, phone line access, modem banks, physical infrastructure tied to the telephone technology. Broadband erased all of that overnight. While AOL celebrated reaching 26 million subscribers, the future was already leaving it behind. The AOL Time Warner merger. The $350 million deal that became the biggest mistake in corporate history. January 10th, 2000. AOL CEO Steve Case walks onto a stage with Time Warner CEO JRod Levin and announced a merger that sent shockwaves through Wall Street. American Online and Time Warner, the world's largest media company, was merging. The deal was worth over $350 billion, the biggest merger in American business history. On paper, it made sense. AOL will bring the internet future. Time Warner could bring content, movies, TV, magazine, news. The combination would dominate online media for years. But the reality was different. The problems began instantly. Cultures clashed, executives hated each other, the dot-com bubble burst, AOL inflated stock collapsed, broadband replaced dial-up, Time Warner resented AOL's control, AOL's ad model fell apart, regulators scrutinized the company, and the subscriptions fell off. What was supposed to be a super company became a super disaster. Time Warner executives later called it the worst merger in corporate history. And it was. The dot-com bubble burst. In 2000, 2001, the dot-com bubble collapsed. Hundreds of internet companies vanished. Stock prices plunged. Venture capital dried up. AOL, valued at over $200 billion, suddenly looked massively overinflated. Their online ad business shrank. Their subscriptions numbers leveled off. Their reputation took a hit. The merger that seemed brilliant suddenly felt catastrophic. AOL wasn't the unstoppable force anymore. It was a giant struggling to adjust. AIM's rise and fall. AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, was everywhere at the turn of the millennium. It dominated team communications. It shaped early social networks. It was a messaging platform, but AIM faced challenges it couldn't beat. MSN Messenger, Yahoo Messenger, Blackbird Messenger, SMS texting, MySpace messaging, Facebook chat, Google Talk, WhatsApp, iMessage. AIM didn't evolve. It stayed locked into its 90 designs while the world moved forward. With mobile messaging, encryption, unified identity system, cross-device syncing, AIM was a giant that never adapted. It formally shut down in 2017, but in truth, its dominance ended around 2006. Google and Yahoo take over search. AOL controlled search until it didn't. AOL once partnered with Netscape and later bought it, but Netscape fell to Internet Explorer. And when web browsing grew beyond AOL's walled garden, people left. Search engine exploded. Yahoo, Excite, AltaVita, Locals, Google, but one stood above all, Google. Google was fast, simple, accurate, and free. It didn't need keywords. It didn't need AOL's interface. It didn't need dial-up. People switched, millions of them. AOL's directory-based model couldn't compete with the algorithmic search. By 2004, AOL was no longer the center of online navigation. It was a shadow. The slow fade of dial-up subscribers. Every quarter, AOL saw the same thing. Subscribers canceling, revenue falling, modem infrastructure aging, ISP offering cheaper broadband, household cutting the cord. Dial-up was dialing, and 80% of AOL's business came from dial-up. AOL tried to pivot. Content, media, advertising, portals, broadband partnerships, acquisitions, right, with MapQuest, WinApp. But nothing recaptured the magic. The world had moved on. The final years in the breakup. The AOL Time Warner merge was essentially dead by 2003. Executives resigned, shareholders revolted, employees fled. In 2009, Time Warner officially spun off AOL as its own company again. AOL, once the king of the internet, was now a much smaller digital media brand. They pivoted to journalism, Engadget, TechCrunch, the Huntington Post, Patch. They tried to embed themselves as a content empire, but the name AOL carried baggage. Finally, in 2015, AOL was sold to Verizon. The price, $4.4 billion. Once valued at over $200 million, AOL sold for 2% of its former glory. It was the end of the era. That was it. But here's the twist. AOL didn't disappear. Its influence didn't vanish. Its legacy didn't die. In fact, AOL shaped the internet in ways we still feel every day. Let's break it down. AOL invented online community. Chat rooms became social networks. Buddy lists became friend lists. Away messages became status updates. AIM became direct messaging. AOL profile became online identities. AOL taught millions to use the internet. A whole generation learned how to email, how to browse, how to chat, how to download, how to communicate online. AOL was the digital classroom of the 90s. AOL democratized the internet. Before AOL, the internet was for hobbyists. After, the internet was for everybody. AOL pioneered online business models. Before Google Ads, before Facebook, before YouTube, AOL monetized attention, advertising, content, digital communities, branded experience. They were 20 years ahead. AOL showed the dangers of not adapting. Its failure wasn't one mistake. It was thousands of small ones. Ignoring broadband, clinging to dial-up revenue, poor leadership, lack of innovation, losing search, losing messaging, internal politics, bad acquisitions. AOL is a lesson for every modern technology company. Technology doesn't stand still. If you don't evolve, you vanish. AOL shaped childhoods, friendships, relationship, and a global culture. It gave millions their first email, their first chat room, their first online games, their first screen names, their first digital identity. It brought the world online, and in doing so, created the foundation that everything that came next. AOL didn't survive the revolution it started, but its DNA lives in Facebook, Instagram, Google, Reddit, Discord, WhatsApp, Slack, Zoom. Every online community today, AOL wasn't just the internet service. AOL was the spark. And although the service is gone, the connection is built. The connection built lives on. All right. Thank you for joining us on the history of AOL on Technology Tap. Professor JRod. And as always, until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and as always, keep tapping into technology. This has been a presentation of Little Cha Cha Productions, art by Sarah, music by Joe Kim. We're now part of the Pod Match Network. You can follow me at TikTok at Professor JRod, that's JROD, or you can email me at Professor JRod, JROD, @gmail.com.